Good afternoon. Welcome to session 4 of the BDAU workshops on clinical datasets. Today we'll be dealing with open data, with open datasets. I'm Dalton Coker, the data officer within the aforementioned unit, Big Data and Analytics unit. Okay, so we first need to articulate what we mean by open data. So if you look at the definition there, open data is data that anybody can access, use, modify, or share for any purpose. Open data has to have a license saying that it's open data, so that if you look at YouTube videos or API documentations or other online resources, sometimes you might see the Creative Commons license stated beneath the as a footnote to the resource. That's one of the types of open data licenses. Open data is related to open source software, but it's not the same thing. It's a similar thing, but not to be confused with open source software, which is a slightly different concept. Right. The open data license almost always stipulates that the people using the data must credit whoever published it, which is why at the bottom here I've included the hyperlink to where I got the data from for the source for the definition of open data, so that I'm not pretending I came up with this definition. And those who blend the data with other data to create mashups or apps or combinations of whatever have to also release their results as open data. That's called share alike. Okay, now we'll just watch a couple of quick video clips, short video clips, to understand further what open data can do for us as researchers and what's the difference between closed, shared, and open data. And those of you who will be receiving the slides after this workshop series will receive these links in your slides. So just let's sit back and watch these videos.
Vast amounts of open data are being used to change the way we live our lives. This data has the power to improve education, enable us to be healthier, to be more productive, the power to build better cities and a better world. From San Francisco Bay to the beaches of Barcelona, the City Mapper app uses open transport data to make people's daily travel easier, easing congestion and improving mobility. And it means that Maria can get home quickly from work and still have time to meet her friends. In Singapore, Andy can track cases of dengue fever throughout the city, and with the help of the community, takes steps to contain the disease. This helps keep his family safe, and also enables a more efficient health service, meaning doctors and nurses have more time to treat emergencies. By using open data, the government of Burkina Faso can compare and evaluate local schools looking at performance and amenities. This helps the government devote resources to the schools that need them most. In Nepal, earthquakes are a dangerous fact of life. By using open data, the structural integrity of the schools and health centres are being recorded. So city planners like Vishal can save lives by repairing high-risk buildings before future disasters strike. In Qingdao, the new WOW portal allows collaboration between citizens and government departments. So Kang can not only find any city information instantly, he can help city planners create better services and a better quality of life for all. Open data is data that is made available by organisations, businesses and individuals for anyone to access, use and share. It has the power to transform and create a better future for everyone.
Okay, that's about that for the content of this video, and that's the credits. So if we just get to an explanation of different data types.
Data is changing our world for the better. It is improving the quality of life for billions of people every day. It's everything from the Excel spreadsheet you use in the office to the citizen science projects that are helping us to beat cancer. And you're feeling the benefits of it right now, even if you don't know it's happening. But in order to get the greatest benefit from all of this data, we must understand how it can be used and how to describe it. Three key terms at the centre of all this opportunity are closed data, shared data, and open data. The difference between closed, shared, and open data is all about who can use data and how. Open data is data that anyone can access, use, and share. Governments and organisations have opened up access to data such as weather records, earthquake monitoring, and even particle physics, allowing others to use this data and discover new solutions for the benefit of all. But it's not enough to simply release this data. For data to be considered truly open, the owners must clearly state that the other people can use it in any way they like. Without these express permissions, the data cannot be considered open. At the other end of the spectrum, there is closed data. This is data that only people inside an organisation can see. National security, confidential business reports, and your mobile phone use are all examples of data that organisations keep to themselves. There can be good reasons why data is closed and why we don't want this data to become public. In between these 2 points is shared data. This is data that is shared with a specific group of people for a specific purpose. It is a broad term that covers a huge amount of the data that is collected every day. Your supermarket shopping habits and the electoral register are just 2 examples of shared data. So whenever we think about data, it's important to remember that data is considered closed, shared, or open because of the permission given on how it can be used and published. By understanding where data comes from, who can use it, and what can be done with it, we can seize the opportunities that it gives us. Data is already shaping and changing our world. What will you build?
And again, the credits. That's about that for the content of that video. So we have it: closed, shared, open data enables researchers or clinicians or ordinary citizens to do whatever they would like to do to create tools that the public can use to improve public health or to investigate excesses or wrongdoing by politicians or the great and good and powerful. It's the opening up of data it's a great thing, and it's enhancing society, in my opinion. So here we have graphic thematic of the data spectrum from the Open Data Institute. This in the top arrow is simply indicating that the more closed a data set is, then the likelier it is to be small data. Some big data sets are closed, but a lot of the big data sets are open data sets. And the lower arrow, the lower curved arrow, is indicating that your personal data, so your personal medical records held by your GP, you'd very much want those to be closed. And as it goes towards things like the London data on, for example, the Boris bike scheme, the Mayor of London's bicycle rental scheme, the data on that is open for anybody to use and develop apps around, and even Transport for London's data, that's all open, and it's the foundation for quite a few apps used for people to know when the next bus or tube or train is available within London. So that's just explaining that as you go from internal restricted access to named access, then group-based access, and then public and totally open access, it goes from closed to shared to open, and it's just giving details of some examples of these types of data within the spectrum. Do we have any questions at this point? Any points to raise? Okay. Right. So we need to consider why open data is important. I think I might have mentioned a couple of these points earlier, but they could do with being repeated. Facilitates and enhances accountability and transparency. So for example, the revelation of the MP's expenses, so what was it, 7 years ago, that was a real blow for throwing data into the open that certain people wanted and kept secret, and it's caused a few people to end up behind bars or be heavily censured, and that was all due to data being made open, which leads us to the second point. It helps bridge gaps between the governed and the governing, and in an open democracy with free speech and freedom of expression, we perhaps don't quite grasp how important that is. But in more restricted regimes, that's really, really crucial. But in terms of things like for IT developers and for the sort of apps you all have on your phones and tablets. A lot of these depend on data sets being made open, so it can spur the creation of new products, services, apps, websites, etc. that help improve the quality of life for vast numbers of people. For example, I'm not sure how many of you use the tube or buses on a daily basis, but those of you who do would struggle to remember in life before something like City Mapper, when you had to stand at a bus stop and just guess when the next bus might be coming along. So it does improve outcomes and productivity in public services. It can drive economic growth by enabling the development of tools to support users, commissioners, and providers of public services, particularly the users. If the users have access to the data, it gives them a level of power and removes the frustration that previous generations used to have, in which they'll just shrug and say, well, nothing can be done. Open data also promotes higher quality and more efficient services and enhances choice and accountability. And this being obviously Imperial College of Medicine, Science and Technology, and this being the site of St. Mary's Hospital, the last point is probably most important for us to consider. Open data can help improve the quality of health and clinical care by disseminating previously closed data sets, which can be analyzed, visualized, crunched, manipulated, twisted, looked at in several dimensions from several perspectives to contribute to new services, improve existing services, to generate insights. For example, some of the work that's been done at Dr. Foster, looking at comparing performance of various units within various hospitals, that's caused the clinicians within each of those units being assessed to take a good look at their services, and sometimes those clinicians do challenge the assessments made by Dr. Foster or similar healthcare assessment services, but at the end of the day, if the methodology for the assessment is made clear, then the clinicians do have to accept that they've got to take those views, those findings into consideration. So those are some of the benefits of open data. Now, scope. If we talk about the mind-bogglingly wide range of open data sets, well, saying that they encompass a vast range of topics, themes, and content types doesn't even begin to grasp at how vast, how wide, how massive the range of topics covered by open data sets is. Any and everything, basically, is covered within open data sets. that provided by national, regional, local governments, charities, NGOs, large companies, international bodies, all sorts of organizations have come around to the view that it's to their advantage and to the advantage of their citizens, customers, clients, to release their data sets, to allow citizens, small businesses, medical researchers, concerned busybodies, etc., to develop resources that make crucial improvements to the communities of the resource developers. So there's this covers a vast range of services. You just have to go to any website and just look at just try to understand the range of or look at the range of apps on your phone or tablet and try to understand think deeply about the range of data that would have underpinned the development of the resources, and it's truly vast, and it's a massive improvement on the way we lived even 20 or 30 years ago. So these are examples of a few open data repositories. What I'll do here is go through the HSCIC, the UK government open data portal, and the London data store. Spend maybe about 5 or 6 minutes on each of those. I go to just showing a few things, but this is the little chink at the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole massive world of open data repositories out there. Right, so if I just go through the outlines there, data.gov, that's the US government's open data portal, which has approaching 200,000 separate data sets, and that includes 5,488 results, about 5,500 results that were listed due to the search keyword health. However, there are quite a few more health-related data sets than that. That's just using the explicit keyword health. Other related keywords bring up additional data sets that are not within that 5,500. The UK government's open data portal, that's a real goldmine of data, and it's been used by lots and lots of researchers for a whole host of projects. If we go back to, if you just think back to the second video clip that I played, the one explaining open, shared and closed data, the HSCIC, the Health and Social Care Information Center, do provide and administer some closed data sets, in particular health, hospital and social statistics. However, on their website, they do provide access to quite a number of open data sets. And since about 8 or so years ago, the London Greater London Assembly has made available a data store that contains data sets on a wide range of aspects of London life, things like crime, obesity, etc., etc. And for global health, there's the World Health Organization Global Health Observatory, and again, that's list. Within that, you can list by theme, list your data by theme or by country, or it's possible to play around with it and view it from your specific perspective. So if we take a look at data, the UK government open data portal, right, so if we look at the health thing, this gives us details on wide range of healthcare statistics and data sets. So does anybody have any anything to do with UK and healthcare that they're curious about, that you'd like to search for within the data.gov? Any?
Breast cancer.
Okay. So if we search for there we go. We just had the suggestion to search for breast cancer, and there's 22 results listed by relevance. And so, for example, if we would like to look at mortality from breast cancer in females, that's available as a CSV file or an Excel file, and it's the age standardized mortality rate from breast cancer for females during the period under consideration per 100,000 registered female patients. So that's just the first 10 results. On the second page, we've got some the first two results are 5-year and 1-year survival from breast, lung, and colorectal cancer. And the next two are some to do with early detection of cancer and then there's something from Scotland on cancer survival statistics, and then from the ONS on cancer survival rates. Yeah.
What do they mean for relevance?
Oh, sorting by relevance, that's just how closely the data set matches the keyword you've entered. So it's possible to list by relevance, popularity, title, and the last time, how recently it was updated, or by location. So if you're only interested in the data sets for Scotland, you could indicate that as one of your keywords. Yeah.
There was a thing down the page, openness rating. Openness score. Do you know how that's? Are they not all the same license?
No.
Okay.
No. The openness score is different levels of openness. So, as I was mentioning earlier, there's various types of license. So to do with open data. So, but essentially that there are all various types of open data which can be used, accessed and used by anybody. So, yeah, that's breast cancer within data.gov.uk. Yeah, I mean it's comprehensive. More than 27,000 data sets for around all manner of themes and topics. These totals, some data sets are included in more than one theme, and there's some degree of overlap within some data sets, which is why your total there might come to slightly more than the total indicated. But yeah, this is your data.gov.uk. It's available freely to everybody. So, and obviously the advantage is that you don't need to apply for permission, go through a whole approvals process, sign a data sharing agreement and a data sharing contract. You just formulate your research idea, go in, access the data, and publish your research report, or create your website or app or whatever.
Dalton,
Yeah.
are all those data sources available via the API from the open data site? So all the spreadsheets that you can download from the website, there's a data API for the open data as well.
Yeah.
Can you access all that data? Do you know what percentage of the data is actually covered by that?
No.
Okay.
So what's the major kind of difference between these and the has and nevertheless? What are they not updated or what?
The main difference between these and your CPRD HES cancer registry minor is that those are closed and restricted data sets, and access to which is governed and strictly regulated, and for which you have to apply and seek approval just to access the data set. Whereas with these, they're open and free for anybody to access and use for any purpose. There's no restrictions.
Can you just comment? Obviously free data is a wonderful thing, but the greatest concern to me with all these data sources is you're only as good as your data.
Yeah.
Hes is pretty shoddy, to be perfectly honest. If you go to the coding department at Chelsea Westminster Hospital, they code totally differently to St Mary's.
Mhm.
So you can be looking at the same condition, and yet the data is virtually meaningless in parts.
Yeah.
So you've got a massive database there that's closed. That quality is probably quite questionable.
Mhm.
Some of these open data sources, what assurance is there on data quality and completeness? And is there any difference between them? I mean, is data put out by the government, is that better quality and more complete than some of the other data sources?
Not necessarily. In terms of data quality, it's like with if you ask to invest in a company, you've got to do due diligence and check the bona fides of the founders and the products they're offering. It's the same with these data sets. You've got to find out a bit about how the data is acquired and input, and when you get hold of the data, of some of the sample data, you've got to look at it. The data quality for open data sets, in my experience, tends to be just as good as your closed data sets, but that's not to say that they're all fantastic. It is variable. The data quality is variable. Did you have any follow-on?
So the thing that I really am keen to know is there any standard way of actually assessing data quality? I mean, is there the equivalent of a body out there, a group of researchers that actually go through and assess data quality and publish reviews of databases and their quality?
Not that I know of. There have been a few papers published sort of evaluating quality of data in open data sets, but there isn't a sort of monitoring body that assesses the quality of open data sets. It might be something that could come to be established as time goes by, but for now it's a free for all. Data just gets put into the public domain, and users have to assess its quality or usability based on their project or their uses, the use that they wish to put it to. Sorry?
Is open data ever, does it ever give you anonymized patient level data? And if not, what is the most granular level of identifier available to us?
The short answer is generally no. Most open data are just generally your aggregate data, because your anonymized patient data sets are quite sensitive, as through linking, what's labeled as anonymized can be easily identified. So generally, most of the open data sets are just aggregate data, just aggregate data.
And aggregate in terms of at what level, like at a CCG level, or does it vary across?
It varies widely. There's as much variation in the level of aggregation as there is in the scope of the data set. So you just have to check each resource that you wish to use.
I just checked as well to see if there was any data quality stuff on data.gov.uk for just like quality reports, and there doesn't seem to be anything. I think at the very least it'd be really helpful to have the ability to kind of vote sets up and down, to kind of rate sets yourself, and then you could get an aggregate of rating, which would be helpful, but there doesn't seem to be anything like that. I would guess the reason would probably be that who is qualified to actually rate the quality of the actual data, especially from a health data set. So, but yeah, it would be very helpful. HES, on the other hand, HSCIC does provide data quality, not from a coding standpoint, I would suppose, but from a completeness standpoint, because obviously they have to report HES to get paid, the hospitals. So, but from a coding standard, it is up to the institutions to determine. But I think a lot of the studies that I've seen so far do kind of almost local hospital studies, and so they know what their codes are for their local organization. But I do understand what you're saying. It'd be helpful to have the correlation between organizations as well. If you could actually set up a board and communicate between them, so that'd be a very interesting project.
Okay, if we quickly go through the HSCIC data store. There we go. And it's the link in the top left-hand corner, find data. There we go. And you're able to browse the data sets on by topic or by information type.
The first
Or-
topic there is data quality.
Sorry?
There seems to be data quality
Yeah.
as a topic.
Was that from HSCIC?
Yes, it is, yeah. So it's just basically their own assessments of data quality of various data sets. And so if we're interested in illnesses and conditions, so we've got data sets for, if we just look at the topic list on the left, accidents and injuries, cancer, circulatory system disease, dental health, digestive system disease and disorders, endocrine and metabolic, etc., etc. So that's your hscic.gov.uk find data, and when you want to explore the data, you knock yourself out and have as much fun as you wish. So whatever your specific area of interest, you just go ahead and look through, or you may search using a keyword. So for example, diabetes, and find that gives you your diabetes audits and diabetes reports and outcomes indicators and pregnancy and diabetes audit reports, etc., etc., etc. And right, I'll just quickly show you the front page of the London data store, and there we have it. So that's the dashboard. Gives information on much more than this, but these are the main things and the main aspects of London life that are depicted on the dashboard. So your total workforce, lost customer hours, recorded crime, population, obesity. If we look at, for example, the obesity data, there we go. So that's some of the health-related graphs for the past 12 or so years. And this graph, for example, shows that childhood obesity is far greater in London than in the country as a whole, well, so much greater. And if we look at smoking cessation, then smoking quit rates peaked around 2011 and have come down since. So you may, if your research is focused on London, you can use this in combination with the data you collect or other data sets to which you have access. And
sorry, just a quick question.
yeah, sure.
Is there the data, the original data, is it there? Is it provided? I know you're just showing us the graphs.
Yeah.
The data itself.
Yeah, you can get access to the spreadsheets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I just right. So for example, for the mortality rates from preventable causes, if you hit go to data, you've got access to the data set, view data set. Okay. So yeah, it's all there, all available, all free of charge, and quite importantly, free of restrictions and permissions and approval processes. You just go in, just log on and access the data and use it as you wish. Obviously with the proviso that you've got to attribute it appropriately, and any resulting intellectual property or products from using these data sets have to be shared as well. So that's it for the workshops on healthcare data sets. Well, yeah, that's it for open data sets and for the clinical workshops on healthcare data sets. If you've got any general questions, you may ask them at this point. Yeah.
In terms of linkages, is it possible to link the open data sets with the more specialized ones? Can you link them?
You can in some cases, in a few cases. However, you would have to ask, for example, if you wish to link to CPRD, the primary care data set, you would have to ask the MHRA who provides CPRD to do the linkage for you. But generally, because the open data sets don't provide patients level data, don't provide your linkage key, for example, your NHS number or national insurance number, whatever, then it tends to be difficult to link them to your other more granular data sets with richer information.
And going beyond that, actually, there are some there's creative ways of doing linking. So, for instance, I've seen work that's been done out of the NHLI, where they have linked air quality standards to respiratory problems, right, to asthma and stuff like that. So they've used open data sets regarding air quality, just like you would use like economic data in regards to location, and link that with known issues in CPRD by location as well. So at an aggregate level, there's interesting types of linking you can do, but I still think that if you're going to link CPRD into that mix, you would have to tell ISAC that you're planning to do that. They would want to know that that's part of what you're publishing.
Okay, so if there are no further questions, I'll just remind you that we do my first 4 lectures were just the first of the BDAU workshops. We've got the second workshop starting tomorrow, which will be conducted by Joshua over there, and that will deal with extract, transform, load. So actually extracting data from data sets, and his seminars will be a lot more interesting than mine. Mine just looked at accessing the data sets and knowing about them.
I'm not going to guarantee that.
He'll actually show you some data manipulation and show you some stuff to make you go, wow.
Not guaranteeing that either.
So for follow-up, you may contact me at that address, dalton.coker@imperial.ac.uk, or the entire Big Data Unit, bdau@imperial.ac.uk.